Today I'm going to walk you through Pluto Manager, which is a Windows-based program that controls your LED sign. So I have it here installed on my desktop, and when I launch the program, I'm going to choose the sign mode because that's what we're going to use to program our LEDs. And after I choose the sign mode, this is the window that I'll see. So in here I have the option to create a playlist. This is how you also open up your existing playlists to edit them. This is to publish out to your sign. You can also do this from within the playlist view. And then your display control is going to be where you modify your connection and your brightness levels. So down here below that, we're going to see how many displays we have online, offline, and total. So I happen to not have any displays online right now, but this software still recognizes that there was a connection. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Playlist and give it a second to load here. This is going to be the program and the window that I use to basically line up and schedule my content, tell it when I want it to display on the sign, and also push it out there. So across the top, I'm going to tell you what these buttons do. If you hover your mouse over these buttons, they will tell you basically what their name is. So this is how you make a new playlist. You can think of a playlist like a schedule. This is how you would open up an existing schedule that you want to modify. This is how we're going to save our playlist and save as, so we can save it under a different name. These are going to be our settings where we can modify basically how our sign is set up. We can also, if you've already done your communication setup, you can come in here and select the display and it will auto-populate those dimensions. These dimensions are found on your contract, and if you're not sure what they are, you can contact your project manager or the art department. We can give you those as well. Right here is going to be your edit mode. This is where we can basically see all of our windows. The calendar mode or the schedule mode, we'll get to this in a little bit. This basically shows you all the content that you have set to play and what hours of the day it's going to play. We can go in and choose days, weeks, and segments. Switch back over to the edit mode right here by clicking on this rainbow square. This is how we're going to play our content. You might notice this little black box floating around. I can move this wherever I want to. That is going to be your preview and play your content there. If I want to see how all of my content, let's say I've got 10 slides, how all 10 of them work and the length of them, I can hit this preview button and they'll play on my little preview box here. And then of course this would be the stop button to stop my preview. This is how you publish out to your sign once you've established communication, and we'll touch on that at the end of the training as well. Down here across the bottom, this is going to be how I add new slides. I just keep clicking that and they will line up here on the side. This would be a copy and a paste, so we could duplicate the content. It's also going to copy any kind of animations or dates that you've assigned to that particular slide. This button right here deletes just that one slide. And then this trash can right here is going to clear out the entire schedule. So you want to kind of be careful using that clear button because you will lose all of those slides that you just put in there. If that was an accident, a good way to recover those graphics would be just to close it immediately and not save it, and then go ahead and open it back up, open the program back up, and go find that schedule that you had basically created, and it'll recover as much as possible from there. So these buttons right here, if I've got a few more graphics in here, this is how you'd rearrange them, moving them up and down to reorder them. This on the left hand side is basically going to be a good preview for you of how these are going to play on your sign. So right now they're completely blank, but they're set to play one time and just go on to the next one without repeating. So these buttons across the top here are going to be your basically the buttons that you'll use to actually add content onto the slides. This is how you would add text. Keep in mind that if you do it this way, it's going to keep a solid colored background, so we don't really prefer to use this way. What I'm going to show you how to do, and this is the recommended method, is we're going to insert a file, picture or video, and then we're actually going to apply text on top of that after we've brought that image in. This is going to be an analog clock, so literally an analog clock. So you probably won't use this too often. You may use the digital clock. This is the method or the appearance that most people prefer. And then over on the right hand side, you can choose the actual minutes and seconds and how you want it to appear. You can also change your color and size over here. This would be your temperature. Again, you can adjust those appearance settings over here on the right hand side. This would be your weather. You can check what you do and do not want it to display over here. But the main thing that we're going to be using is this file button. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this slide for now. And I'm going to click to, let's go to number 1. So I'm going to start by inserting graphics by clicking on this first slide, and I'm going to click on this open file button. And basically you should create a folder where you keep all of your content, all of the graphics that you receive from us, that you have made it by yourself, that you have downloaded. They all need to be kept in the same place so that your software and your sign know where to look for those files each time. So I have made my own folder, so I'm going to navigate to that, and basically I've made a folder of all these different slides. So again, you're going to receive a copy of these graphics, and if you haven't, you're welcome to contact us to get them. But basically I'm going to grab one of these files. These are all the file formats that the software supports. So let me move it over a little bit more. So these are all of the video, audio, and picture files that you'll ever need. You're not going to use the audio files, but the video and pictures, these are good to keep in mind. Basically, it's any type of image or video file you'll ever need. These are going to be, your primary pictures are going to be your JPEGs and PNGs, and then your main videos are going to be AVI, Windows Media Video, MOV, and MP4s. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this 4th of July graphic and choose to open that file. The software defaults to stretch that to fit. So if it was over or under my sign's resolution, it's going to make it fit my sign. However, you want to keep in mind that your graphics, whenever you're uploading these, need to be at least the dimensions of your sign. You probably won't have a problem with that, and you definitely won't have a problem with any of the graphics we send you. So I'm going to go and add another graphic, so I'm going to choose to open this and go back in here, and this time I'll grab just a basic slide. So I'll hit open, and no matter what industry you're in, you're also going to receive a couple of graphics that fit your display if we have them available. So this particular demo that I'm going to do is going to be for a church, so you're going to see a lot of the church content in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more slides, and these are going to be just generic slides that they don't necessarily have an expiration date. These are things that I'm fine with running on my sign all day, every day. So I'll grab this Bible study and maybe another verse. Let's grab a video. So I'm going to grab that one and hit open and give it a second to load in here. Now that 4th of July graphic, that is not something that I want to run 24/7. And so what I'm going to do is grab that graphic right there, Happy 4th of July, and down here at the bottom, there's a click to edit schedule section. So I'm going to click on that. If you don't apply a schedule to your graphics, their default is to run 24/7, 365. So I need to come in here and tell it I want you to play a specific date. So I'm going to choose this drop down menu, and I'm going to navigate over to 2018. And I'm going to have it start on July 1st, basically the week of the 4th. So I'll choose the 1st, and then my end date, I'm going to come over here and I'll just make it this weekend. Maybe that Sunday, because most people celebrate the 4th of July through the week. So like Friday or Saturday is good. So I've got my default date set, and I can also come in here and I can alter the time. So it's defaulting to run 24/7 during those dates. These options allow me to choose the specific hours that I want it to play. Maybe I only want it to display in the mornings or in the evenings. I can also set a custom time and be real specific down to the minute. I can also choose what days of the week I want it to display on. So you want to be careful. Let's say that I told this just to play on the 4th of July. So I'll choose Wednesday the 4th, and then I'll come in here and choose my end date is Wednesday the 4th. So then I'm going to come over here to my date. And so that day of the week is going to be Wednesday, If on here I select those dates, or I'm sorry, deselect those days, and let's say I only have Saturday and Sunday checked for whatever reason, this graphic would actually not display on the sign at all, because I've told it that I only want it to play on Saturday and Sunday, and I only want it to play on this date. So once it applies those two filters, there are no days remaining. So usually if you're setting a start date and an end date, you want to be very careful to choose what days of the week that you're choosing. I would just leave all of them. You don't really even need to come in here and choose Wednesday. Just leave all of them selected, and the software will make sure it only plays on that date. So the last section over here is play times. So the default is for it just to play once. This is how many times it's going to loop before advancing. And so if I bump this up to 2 or 3, see now it says 3 times right here. Basically whatever play duration I have this set at, so this one over here is set at 5 seconds, it's basically going to play for 15 seconds before it moves on to the next slide. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can do it in here. You can leave it at 1, and you can bump the play duration up to 15 if that's what I want it set at. Or I can copy and paste this, and now it's in there 3 times. So those are the different ways you can do that. I personally prefer this way so that I can see a visual 1, 2, 3, that's how many times it's going to play. And you see that every time I copy and pasted it, it copied those dates. And it would have also counted the play count, copied the play count, and the play duration over here too. So I'm going to go ahead and clear that out. I don't need 3 of those. Oops. So I'll delete those duplicates. And now I've got a couple of different graphics, and then I've got one that's going to filter in only on the special holiday. So this video right here, your images, if I look at my little preview box right here, now it's previewing that video for me. The images just stay still on there, but the videos will actually preview. It's just looping this one video because I haven't actually selected the preview. I just have that one slide selected. If I hit the actual preview, it's going to play all of these now. It's going to start with whichever one I was selecting. So it's starting with He is Risen, and then it's going to loop back to the top and play them from the top. So this graphic I have set to play for 15 seconds. So it would sit there for 15 seconds and then move on to Love is Patient and then move on to Bible study. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this preview. But that gives you a real-time preview of how long those slides are going to take and how it'll switch between the slides. So now that we've kind of got that established, let's talk about this right-hand side over here. No matter what graphic you have chosen, whether it's an image or a video or you're editing text, this right-hand panel will adapt to fit that, and the menu items will change depending on what you have selected. So because this is an image, I'm looking at the image editing options. So over here I can choose a transition effect. The transition effect is basically how it will come in, how it will animate in. So you can kind of see it previewing down there in the corner. The speed is 1 is the slowest, 10 is the fastest. I usually just leave it at none, and I just have it blink from one to the next. But you're welcome to set your transitions in here. This is how the image is filling the sign. In fact, that's the exact name of it. I'm telling it to fill. I can also choose original scale so it doesn't stretch it. It puts those black bars on the left and right side. I can choose ratios. But obviously the best one is going to be the fill. So I want that to fill up the entire screen. This one, we're going to come back to this overlay text. Right here is the play duration. This is hours, minutes, and seconds. You want to make sure that you're following your city's restrictions for the play duration. So for example, in the city of Houston and in Harris County, there's a 5-minute hold time on your sign. That means that I set my minutes to 5, my seconds to 0, and that is the minimum amount of time that I have to keep that graphic on there without changing it. And then this video would have to go all together. Unless I took a screenshot of this and I used just a still version of it, it has to stay still on the sign for 5 minutes. not every city is as restrictive as Houston is, so just check with your project manager or whoever helped you to pull the permit for your sign, and they would know that information. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and add another graphic in here, and we're going to go ahead and work with overlaying text. So I'm going to add a new slide and then come up here and choose to insert a file. I'm going to go back to my background files, and I'm just going to grab one of these plain abstract backgrounds. The reason we like to use backgrounds that are similar to these is because they give texture and dimension to the sign, and they've got good color variety in them. You want to try and stay away from using just solid red, solid black, solid blue backgrounds because I mean, it's marketing. Those aren't as interesting to look at as something that's got texture and colors. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this blue background right here and open. So it's automatically stretching that graphic to fill my frame. And then over here on the right hand side, I'm going to check this overlay text box, and this window pops up. And so basically what I'm going to do is type my text down here. You want to try and use all capital letters as often as possible. The reason is E, C, O, and A all look very similar on the sign when they're lowercase, but if I make those capitalized, they're a lot easier to recognize. So I'll type a message in there and select my text. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose a bold font. So as soon as I click out of that frame, my preview appeared right here. So again, I'm going to select that text, and I'm just going to grab a font that's a little bit bolder. You want to, the bigger and bolder your text is, the more legible it's going to be. So Tahoma is a good bold font, so I'm going to choose that. I'm going to change my text color to white, and I'm going to make it a lot bigger. Down here at the bottom, these are my alignment options. So I can choose to center it horizontally on the sign, and then also this is left justified, center, and right. So I'll choose center, and again center it here. And the last thing that I want to do in this window is I'm going to check this box for text effect, but instead of this suspension, I'm going to choose outlines, and I'm going to choose black. Now on your LED sign, I'm going to choose this more right here. On your LED sign, there's a red, a green, and a blue LED. When all three of those operate together and they shine at their brightest, it makes the color white. So that's what we're looking at here. When all three of those turn themselves off and there's no light going through your sign, is the color black. Black is actually just lack of light at all. It's just the black is the face of the LEDs that you're looking at. And so what I need to do, the software thinks that black is transparent because it's turning all of the LEDs off. So in order for me to have a black outline, I'm going to bump this up just a little bit so that there's a value in here, and choose OK. And let's go ahead and exit this. If I scale this up, the closer I get to this, the more pixelated it's going to appear, just like a real LED. So as I zoom up, I can actually see the grid here. And I can also see that black outline. And the purpose of this is, as you know now, white is basically the brightest color. It's all the LEDs shining at their brightest. So all of your text colors, let's go back in here and edit that text. When you're looking for text colors, you want to try and use colors that are light colored. So yellow would be a good color because see, it's maxing out 2 of the channels, and I can actually pull this up a little bit so that it looks like it's the same shade of yellow, but now it's utilizing 3 out of 3 of the LEDs. Same thing with lime green. It's a good color to use. It uses all 3. Same thing with pink. It uses all 3, and so on. So those are all great colors, and light blue. These are all great colors to use. You want to stay away from using red, which uses only 1/3 of the LEDs. Green uses only 1/3 of the LEDs, and blue. So if you must use these, try and pull their channels up so that it's using the rest of them too. Okay, and you can do anything in here. You can click around, you can make teals, magentas, whichever colors you're looking for. Okay, so Basically though, the lighter the color is, the more legible it's going to be on the display. So let me exit that and I can zoom back. When you have that black outline, it literally turns a row of LEDs off around the sign so that your text, the colors don't bleed into each other and everything's sharper and higher contrast. So real quick, if you're going to use an outside program to edit your content and then bring it into the software like this, like how you saw me bring in basically all of these graphics that weren't already in here besides this one, the way that you would do that is I'm going to go ahead and open up Photoshop. This is one of the programs you can use to program your sign or to create content to program your sign. Basically, whatever the dimensions are of your display, so let's say that your display is theoretically 80 by 180, you want to take those dimensions and multiply them by 3 or 4, and then that's how you would set up your Photoshop document. The reason for that is if you ever upgraded to a higher resolution sign, let's say you have a 16 millimeter and you want to upgrade to a 10 millimeter, you're going to be able to use those same graphics again because you didn't make them exactly that 16 millimeter size. Or let's say you've got a 10 millimeter and in the future an upgrade comes out and there's a different resolution you want to upgrade to, same principle. Or let's say that you have a 3 by 6 right now and in the future you want to purchase a 4 by 8. Same thing. If you already built your graphics to be a larger size, you can upgrade later and reuse them all. And so it's the same principle why we make all of our graphics larger too. All the stock files you're going to receive from us are going to be pretty high resolution so that they can work across all of our clients' displays, and then also in the future when resolutions get higher and higher and higher, they'll still be useful. So that being said, make sure that you triple or quadruple your dimensions and then use them in Photoshop. So this particular file is set up to be 300 pixels by 600 pixels. The resolution can be anywhere from 72 to 300 as long as it has a minimum of 72. So basically I set my document up this way. In Photoshop it has a stroke, which is that black outline, it has an outer glow, and it also has a drop shadow. And those are things that just, if I turn them off completely, you can see how that doesn't really punch out and stand out against its background. But once I turn those effects back on, now it's bold and you can read it against the background. I'm using light colored text here. Let me click on that so you can see the text color. So my red, green, and blue channels are all being used. So that's a great color choice. They all complement each other. It's good. Everything's as big as it possibly can be. So when I'm done, I'm going to go to File and Save As. And then basically what I'm going to do is make sure that I save this as a JPEG file, a JPEG or a PNG. And then I would come on over to my software, add a new slide, open, and go find that graphic in here. So that's how you would insert those files from another program. You can also use PowerPoint. You can use After Effects, Illustrator, CorelDRAW, Photoshop. There's also free alternatives out there like GIMP and those types of programs. It's not necessarily about creating the graphics, it's about making them legible on the sign. So just keep in mind that if you're going to use a script font, you want to make it as big and bold as possible. Try to keep it simple. Try and keep it down to like 4 or 5 words or less. If you do have longer ones, longer phrases, don't put a picture in there. Just make your text big and bold. If you are using a picture, make the picture take up a very good portion of the sign so that it'll be visible from the road. Down here, okay, so when we have our graphics all in here, we've got them all lined up the way that we want them to display on the sign. I can click this Publish button right here, and it's going to open up a window. Basically, you just want to leave these at the default settings. I want to go ahead and the default is to have all these checked. But basically, I want to use the sign's integrated memory. Go ahead and pause while sending the files out there. If you have a billboard, you actually might want to just go ahead and let it continue running its slides while you transmit the new ones. But any other normal display, go ahead and let it pause for a couple of seconds to download the new files. And then any computers, what this is talking about right here, update any fonts on the display. this hello, this is a test message, that Tahoma font, basically it's going to push that font out to the display if it doesn't already have it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the next button. It's going to optimize those files right there, and then it brings me to this window. So I have 0 displays online, and this may be what you're seeing too. So I would follow our communication setup directions that your project manager should have given you. If you didn't receive those, or if you need assistance with this, just feel free to contact us. You can also, let's say that you have already completed communication setup and you're just not seeing your display in here for some reason. A lot of times you can hit search now and just search all displays, and it will basically run a search of your network and try and find those signs, the front and back or single-sided sign. Mine, of course, is not going to find a display because I have no demo signs on right at this time. So basically, once you had selected your display, if it were listed in here, you would hit send, and you would see a progress bar, and it would 0 to 100% show you when it's completed. It'll tell you that it successfully completed sending those files out to the sign. So if you have any questions about the software, creating content, file formats, anything like that that you need to talk to a designer or a technical specialist about, you are welcome to contact us. The 800 number for our office is 1-800-888-5051. You can also email us at artwork@sign-express.com, or talk to your project manager, and their email is projectmanagement@sign-express.com. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful for you, and again, feel free to contact us with any questions or concerns. Thank you.